As I am going to sakura-con in April, I decided to reinforce my cross with fiberglass resin so it won't be quite so susceptible to damage while I'm there. I'm also going to do a couple things to try and add a little bit more detail to it. And if you're not familiar with working with fiberglass resin, there's two different kinds. There's a polyester resin and an epoxy resin. The polyester resin is a bit easier to work with and more readily available, where I am anyway. It does, however, corrode the polystyrene foam. The epoxy resin is a bit more difficult to work with. I've had a harder time finding some, and it does corrode, or doesn't corrode, the polystyrene foam. I did choose to use the polyester resin, mainly because it's easier to find. I have one more place I'm going to look for the epoxy resin, because I ran into a bit of a mishap. I did one section of my cross and it worked absolutely flawlessly. I did the next section and it was less flawless. I'll show you the damage. Yeah, I did this all over here. It's a little disgusting. So, to fix this, I am currently filling it in with just some joint compound. And then when I get the epoxy resin, we'll redo that. Needless to say, I wasn't very pleased when I saw this. I'm not entirely sure what happened. In theory, the paint should have protected the foam underneath. I went through and patched up any parts that were the paint had broken with joint compound or spackling or something or other, I don't remember. But whatever I did, it clearly wasn't enough. I'm not sure why it happened this time and not last time, but what we've got to work with. So, see, I'm already starting to fill it in here. These pieces here, you're going to have to take off completely. There's too much damage to even bother repairing them. I'm thinking when I replace them, I might use something like balsa wood to give it something a little bit more rigid and easier to work with, less susceptible to breaking while I'm at the con. But yeah, I wasn't real pleased. So now we're going to get to fixing it. That's all the time I have for repairs today. I have to head to work, and then I'm going straight from work to the midnight release for Final Fantasy XIII, because I'm a huge freaking nerd, which is pretty apparent by the fact that I'm building a giant anime cross. You can see I've still got a little bit left to do on there. Got these pieces here. After this dries, it's going to be all... Holy crap, just about to drop the camera there. After this dries, it's going to be full of all sorts of cracks and pull away from the edges and stuff, so I'll have to do another patch-up layer, smooth out some stuff, then I'll sand it, and hopefully by then have my resin that won't destroy my project. And we'll go from there. All in all, it's not too terrible. It should, if all goes well, look just fine when it's done. I just didn't really want to have to spend my time doing this. I wanted to spend my time finishing the parts that I wanted to do. So, hopefully, this time I won't be spending the last 2 minutes before I drive to the con painting, and we'll get it done ahead of time.